r/AskReddit by Reddical. Redditors who went to school with a celebrity. What were they like before they became rich and famous? Frank Abagnale is my dad's cousin. We were at a family wedding and he was telling us, "Yep, they're making a movie about my life. Leonardo DiCaprio is playing me. He's a professional liar." So we all just laughed at him. Then Catch Me If You Can came out. This is my favorite one so far. How'd the family react to the movie? They didn't catch it. Zac Efron went to a neighboring high school. He dated a girl from my school for a while. I remember him coming to some school dances. My wife was also in his grade at his school. He was a bit nerdy, but a nice guy. Pretty much just a normal dude from nowhere that ended up mega famous. I went to high school with him and wouldn't say he was nerdy, but just a normal dude. East High Wildcats. My dad went to school with Vanilla Ice. He said he was nice. You meant for that to rhyme, didn't you? Okay, you need to stop, collaborate and listen. I went to high school with Hayden Christensen before he was in Star Wars. He was artsy and seemed shy, spent his time in the drama department, and was a nice guy from every memory I have. I hope there were no younglings in the school. Well, not anymore. Cool, a topic I can contribute to. Went to high school with John Legend. He was a year older than me. He was clearly very talented, led role in most school plays, musical acts at talent shows etc. But he was basically just a really nice, humble guy. I wasn't friends with him, but I was an athlete who hung out with the theater crowd. I helped on set construction and sound for shows. He was a basketball fan and came to most of our school's games. His cousin was also on the team and a year younger than me. Went to middle school with Raven Simone. Post Cosby, pre That's So Raven. She was just a normal kid, but if you asked for an autograph, made a big deal about her, you got attention. Bo Burnham, literally the same person. Did people really call him the tie-dye kid? Kinda. Nobody really understood how famous he was. We just were told he was well known. In the words of my year 12 classics teacher, Kylie Minogue was really smart and lovely. Danny Minogue was just lovely. Kylie Minogue was able to prevent Kylie Jenner from trademarking the name Kylie. I went to Northwestern W. David Schwimmer. He lived with my best friend in a house after graduating. He's an outstanding actor with a huge range, only actor ever to make me tear up in the middle of a play. Too bad he's been so typecast now. Nice guy. My high school theater director knew David Schwimmer, so we were able to acquire the rights to perform his play Trust at our school. He even came to one of the performances. I wasn't in the play, but I did set construction. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the performance he came to. He was very good as Robert Kardashian in The People vs. O.J. Simpson and of course his Band of Brothers role. He does have range. My ex-mother-in-law was close friends with Johnny Knoxville, except everyone around here calls him PJ. He absolutely adores her father, so anytime he came into town, he's visit my ex-wife's grandfather, who happened to live next door to my ex-mother-in-law. She said he was just a sweet, goofy kid growing up who was always doing stunts even back then. He used to wear a football helmet around for his stunt work or something like that. In a hoe. He came in town for his parents' 50th and we were all invited. Then we hung around outside and walked around, and I gotta say, I don't know any celebrities, but I've heard they can be dongs to fans. Looking at you, Daniel Craig, you Bondly sob. You. This just cannot be said about PJ. He's just as friendly after 3 hours of fans stopping him as he was the first fan of the night. He smiles from ear to ear, gives each fan a great big hug, takes pictures with them, gives them that Johnny Knoxville laugh, and just genuinely appreciates their support. He's just an all-around nice guy from the sticks. Most celebrities, man. These fans have been talking to me for 3 hours. I'm worn out. Johnny Knoxville, man. These fans have been talking to me for 3 hours. At least they're not punching me in the dong and making me eat horse semen. He's the only celebrity to answer a question I asked on his Ask Me Anything, so he's cool in my book. My uncle went to the same high school as Britney and Jamie Lynn Spears. He rode the bus with Jamie Lynn because they both lived in Kentwood, but went to school in Mississippi. Apparently on the bus Jamie would hand out CDs of Britney's music when she was first getting started with music. Also one day he saw her crying on the bus because people were calling Britney a slut. Lol, I'm pretty sure he hung out her house one time too. I think their parents were friends. My cousins and I used to beg him tell us stories about Britney lol. My grandma went to the same high school as James Dean. Said he was chill and charismatic. Was kinda cokey as a result though because he knew he was hot stuff. My dad used to be a punk drummer in California. Knew Green Day when they were first starting out. He said the bandmates were cool but the lead singer was a pouty beach that would often cancel or storm off if people he didn't like were at concerts parties. Didn't have thick skin when it came to some criticism either. This sounds accurate. The James Dean part or the Green Day part? Tom Hanks was in this Midwestern theater troupe way before he got famous that visited my mom's high school. I believe it was a specific workshop for the school's theater department where the students got to work with the visiting actors. She and her friend both thought he was the best one in the troupe and also thought he was insanely nice. Edit. This was in Doylestown, Ohio if anyone's curious. I always breathe a sigh of relief when someone confirms how nice Tom Hanks is. He's the one celebrity I'd be so disappointed by if a Me Too type thing came out about him. Or if there were stories of him being a major a-hole. I know, right? Thankfully I can assure you that my mom, and I think my uncle too, I forget if he graduated that year, had a super wholesome experience with him. Not a super famous connection, but Avril Lavigne, Canadian musician, was the bat girl for my baseball team. She was a cute kid and respectful. It was years later when she had a hit song that I realized it was actually her. I grew up a half hour from her hometown and apparently everyone in a 100-kilometer radius is her cousin. I believe you though. Every pure lane French Canadian I know has like 25-50 cousins, so I'm sure many of those are telling the truth lol. Mom knew R. Kelly and was even in the video Summer Bunnies, but very hard to spot out, but she's in there. She said he was dating her friend and always made fun of him. She also knew Common and has her as a friend on her private Facebook. They still take from time to time. My dad is not amused lol. R. Kelly, yikes. I know right? My mom said he was a creep then and an even worse one now. I'm glad she kept away from him. Chloe Moritz is from my hometown but is a good bit younger than I am. She went to my ballet school briefly and her family was friends with one of my best friend's family growing up. So I was around her a good bit. She would have been maybe 6-8 at the time and she was just a cute, polite, kind of shy kid. There was some drama that caused her family to move to Atlanta and then New York, and I remember her older brother was the ham of the family that wanted to get into acting first. I was surprised when I heard that she was the one who'd gotten famous out of them. The gaudy McMansion her dad had built at the front lot of the local rich people subdivision still sits vacant, and one time my friends and I got drunk and went skinny dipping in the Moritz pool in high school. I don't mean to sound snarky, it really is a weird house. There was some drama that caused her family to move to Atlanta and then New York. Must have been juicy drama. Kit John Snow Harrington went to the same 6th form college as me, year below me. Super quiet and shy. Literally the last person you'd think would end up being famous. He seems like he'd be introverted and genuinely down to earth and sweet. My husband knew Kevin McHale from Glee when he was a kid. Said he was the quiet, artsy type but super talented. Today I learned there's an actor named Kevin McHale in addition to the basketball player named Kevin McHale. I thought you meant the basketball player. This thread has a lot more positive stories than I was expecting. It's kind of refreshing. James Corden. God, was he a show off. When a bunch of 10-11-year-old kids are trying to get a school play together, it helps if you don't start making up your own lines and throwing everyone into a state of utter confusion. Excellent. I'm always pleased when my random loathing of somebody is ratified by anecdote. Corden has one of the worst reps going, so I'm surprised you haven't found things earlier. His own parents staged an intervention over his foul behavior. I went to high school with Joe Keery. I wasn't personally friends with him but had a few classes here and there, and he was relatively well known in our class. Then again, in a class of 150 people it's more unusual not to know somebody. He was always very nice and friendly, the complete opposite of Steve at the start of S1 of Stranger Things. I'm really glad to see him succeed as much as he has and wish him all the best in his career, which we will watch with great interest. Thanks for watching this Reddical video. Subscribe for the best Reddit videos straight to your feed.